Here is an example of how to complete the square in order to solve a quadratic. My 5 steps are: number 1, make sure the leading coefficient is a 1. What I mean by that is our leading coefficient right now is a 3, and we want to get that to be a 1. So we are going to divide both sides by that coefficient, and we get x squared minus 7/3 x plus 1 equals 0. The second step is move the constant to the other side. The constant here is the 1. It's the term without the x by it. So we get x squared minus 7/3 x equals negative 1. The third step is write a quantity squared that would come from. Hint, take half the coefficient of x. So we are going to write a quantity squared, and we are going to take half of negative 7/3. Well, if you take 7/3 and divide by 2, you get 7/6. So we're going to have minus 7/6. Notice you don't put an x by the 7/6 because you're just taking half the coefficient. And then step number 4 is go back up a step and add a number to both sides. Hint, square the number you just wrote. Well, we just wrote 7/6. So we are going to go back up and add a number to both sides, and this is called completing the square. So I put a little square there to emphasize that. You are squaring 7/6. Well, when you square 7/6, you get 49/36. If you don't remember why you have to add that number, right now what you've done is you've truly just factored that trinomial. X times x is x squared. 7/6 times 7/6 is 49/36. If you go negative and a negative 7/6 and a negative 7/6x will give you a negative 7/3 x. So you have completed the square. You've wrote what quantity squared that was. On the right-hand side, you are going to simplify. If you take negative 1 plus 49/36, you get 13/36. If you don't see how I get that, I can change my negative 1 to negative 36/36. When I add my 49/36, I then get 13/36. Or, of course, you can do it on your calculator. Negative 1 plus 49/36. Write all of these as fractions, not as decimals, because when you get to the next step of solving it, the only way you can solve a square is when you take the square root. And so if you would have a decimal sitting there on the right-hand side, you will not get the exact answer. You will get an approximation. On the left, the square root of x minus 7/6 quantity squared is x minus 7/6. On the right, when you take the square root, you know you're getting two answers because it's a squared. So we're going to have positive and negative. The square root of 13 you can't break down at all, but the square root of 36 is 6. Again, if you had a decimal there, you would not get that radical. So change that decimal into a fraction before you take the square root. And then at the end, you're trying to get x by itself. So you would add 7/6 to both sides. And I'm going to write it in front. It's a positive 7/6 plus or minus the square root of 13 over 6. Those are my two answers. 7/6 plus the square root of 13 over 6 and 7/6 minus the square root of 13 over 6. If you want to write them separately, you can, but we as mathematicians normally just write it together. 7/6 plus and minus the square root of 7, 13/6. My question at the end is why did we have to complete the square? And the answer is because at the beginning, we could not factor that. All right. If you can't factor it, you could complete the square. All right.